Hey guys, just a warning this episode contains sensitive material, so listener discretion is advised.
Whether you're hitting the road or kicking back in the cab, it's time to take a load off with Big Rig Banter. Powered by alltruckjobs.com, your source for finding the trucking jobs drivers really want. Get ready to shift into gear and let the conversations roll.
All right, hello and welcome, truckers. The date is July 3rd, and you're listening to the 33rd episode of Big Rig Banter. I'm your co-host, Troy Diffenderfer.
And I'm your favorite co-host, Lenay Rule.
And Lenay, how are you doing today?
Good, Troy. I'm very excited. We've got some exciting news for you guys and girls.
Yeah, that's right. This past month, we launched a brand new, shiny Big Rig Banter website. We're really excited. It's under our alltruckjobs.com parent company, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, if you want to check it out, you just go to alltruckjobs.com and then click on the resources tab, and it's listed in there. You can see a little bio about Troy and myself. And all of the episodes are there. You can listen to them right online. Plus, you can see everywhere that's hosting our podcast, when we recently just added Spotify to the list.
And you can even see what we look like. You can put a face finally to the podcast, a very handsome, good-looking face.
So anyway, this episode today is all for the LGBT truck drivers out there. We recently sat down with Shelle, Lichti, and Bobby Loy from the LGBT Truckers Support Group, got some information from them on resources that are available to you on the road. Troy interviewed Shelle and Bobby, so let's give that interview a listen.
All right, I'm here with Shelle Lichti and Bobby Loy of the LGBT Truckers Facebook page. How are you guys doing today?
Doing great.
Awesome.
Awesome. And, Shelle, what made you start this LGBT Truckers Facebook page? I know you're the founder of it, and kind of how did all this get started?
Well, the program got initially started because there was a need in the LGBT trucking community to create a safe environment for each of us to talk to each other and not feel so alone and outcast. And then it really sprouted wings and took off through word of mouth after a close friend of mine committed suicide. I just got tired and frustrated from drivers being abused and overlooked and mistreated. So I was determined to try to keep any more from dying.
And Bobby, what made you want to be a part of the LGBT Truckers Facebook page? I know you're now the vice president and kind of run the public relations department over there. How did you kind of link up with Shelle?
Well, actually, I had got a message on Facebook, and for a little while, I had been looking for a place just to, talk to other truckers and about their experiences on the road, and because we were having some experiences of our own, but I couldn't really find any groups that were not geared towards the eroticism of or the fantasy of truckers, because a lot of people have an attraction to thinking, about gay truckers. So, but our group, the way that it's run and done is basically, we stay away from that. It's actually more about trucking and families and being there socially for each other. So it was exactly what I was looking for. It just instantly felt like home. But literally how I got involved was Shelle had messaged and was needing help, and we just met through a picture that I had posted. I had posted a picture of me and my husband at Disney, and I just kind of introduced myself saying hi to people, trying to just interact with other truckers like us, and it started from there. And just made this amazing friendship, and I just wanted to get more and more involved as it went along. So, yeah, that's pretty much how everything happened.
And Bobby, you mentioned a sense of family, and I know there's a big sense of community on the page. What other kind of things do you offer for page members, as far as whether it be support, and obviously it's a nice place to meet people and kind of talk about your different experiences?
Well, I mean, we try to give as much support as possible and any answers that we can. Um, and, we're very active at talking, replying back to people, even not just on the page, but we get a lot of people that sometimes can't really talk or post publicly.
Mm-hmm.
So they will actually message us personally. And it's just a really good support group and a way of supporting each other within the community when so many people do feel alone. You have these people that drive across the country, and they're in their trucks, and they most of the time that's their bubble, or that's their way of escaping. So this gives them that extra, there is other people out there like me. There is people who I can talk to, and it's really about the trucker themselves. It's exactly what the whole page is about.
And can you name some other noteworthy resources for LGBT truckers that you're familiar with, or that you might recommend for others?
I really don't think there's enough out there.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's our page is pretty much the only thing that I know of. There is a couple small groups, but a lot of them, like I said, are more geared towards. We try to moderate our group a little bit. We don't let people to come on and try to post, to look for a person, or trying to use it as a hookup or a dating website.
Mm-hmm. I did notice that when I was looking on it earlier today, that you made a post earlier.
Yeah, we try to steer away from that, just to because if you have that in there, and there's nothing wrong with it, but it makes a lot of people feel uncomfortable. And this way, it's just everybody can chat, everybody can talk. We engage in showing pictures of our dogs and pets, and people share pictures of their trucks and where they're at on the road. And it really is just geared towards being comfortable with who you are, and just being a trucker out on the road. As far as other resources, there's really not much. And I mean, there's resources for truckers, but a lot of times those are not an option for us, or we're disinvited sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Shelle can feel in a little bit more on that, but I mean, I really can't think of many others. And I had searched and searched before finding the page, just trying to find places where I could at least talk to people or feel comfortable, but I really didn't find much. Do you have anything to add, Shelle?
Actually, yeah. As far as LGBT truckers, we were the first program set up to create an educational and supportive network for drivers to be able to reach out to each other without feeling excluded from an industry that has happened to be very exclusionary. We all know that the LGBT community in transportation has been around since the evolution of the wheel, but it's been a very taboo thing, and it's been acceptable to continue to harass these drivers, the same as being a female driver evolving in the industry. It's been the last bastion of acceptable discrimination, and I find it to be extremely unacceptable. We don't allow people to poach our drivers in any fashion, whether they're messaging our drivers privately, and we're currently dealing with a small battle with that. We don't allow companies to fish from our drivers. for recruiting opportunities unless they are cleared by us and others that they are an LGBT-friendly trucking company. And even then, we are, we're evolving to the point where we've, developed a website. So we're going to have those, safe advertising opportunities, along with other industry representatives to advertise and promote their products and services. We utilize, in the past, we've been utilizing Buck Black of truckertherapy.com. He was one of the first people who recognized that the needs of all drivers are a little bit different than the general public when it comes to counseling.
Mm-hmm.
The mental illness and just the stress of trucking can rip apart families, relationships, self-identity. And he's specially licensed in everything from family therapy to gender issues. It's, just creating that all-inclusive environment for the drivers. It evolved from word of mouth, one driver telling another driver, hey, you ought to check this out. These are, they have conference calls. They have, video conferences where, we actually used to do what I call trucker karaoke, where everybody would turn on their favorite music and one at a time while we're all on video. If you can imagine 20 different truckers on video caterwauling to their favorite music. But it was an activity where they can participate without coming off of the road and not be so alone. So it's been trying to find creative ways to educate, inform, create a supportive environment, including those in the LGBT trucking community, their family, their friends, and supporters of the community. So we try to be all inclusive and not block anybody out unless they are causing discontent. Then I'm done. We do not tolerate that. I tend to be a little firm about that. I'm very protective of our drivers.
And are there any accommodations made for the LGBT community in the trucking industry since you started this page, whether it be obviously different companies being more LGBT friendly or other resources, or I know you mentioned the Buck Black with the therapy. Are there any other accommodations you've been noticing?
As the industry has evolved through time, there has been a shift in mannerisms. We talk about the driver shortage, which, for me personally, I feel that it's self-perpetuated. The industry doesn't want to pay for the skill level and experience level, so they kind of get what they pay for, and there's that huge turnover. Well, by getting the LGBT community involved and opening their eyes to the culture has shifted from being exclusionary and super hateful and discriminatory, which it still has its issues. More companies have created better policies to handle their different forms of discrimination. And it's a matter of encouraging more of that dialogue and, utilizing those procedures and following through. And having the LGBT community in general realize that trucking can be an opportunity for them to utilize not only for employment gains, but as an opportunity to come out and explore themselves, and start that journey of, getting in touch with themselves, working through their emotional issues, if there has been any, to becoming that individual that they want to be. You can, the slate is clean when you come out here. You become who you want to be. And it gives you that opportunity to reflect that.
Yeah, I wanted to jump in on that. You recently did an interview with Fleet Owner, and you talked about how it gives you the perfect opportunity to recreate yourself. Do you feel like the trucking industry has been able to help you heal or rediscover yourself? And I can direct this question towards Bobby as well.
Well, for me personally, I came from a very rough background. And rather than use that background as a crutch, and make excuses for myself and my inability to do something. I've used it to help bolster me. And I also wanted to become that person that overlooked me when I needed help in my different areas. So it gave me that opportunity to work through my own personal issues, to work on my confidence, my self-esteem. As my skill level with trucking evolved, so did those areas evolve. For a lot of us that have been out for many years, it becomes your identity, and it is a way of life and a lifestyle. For some, coming into the industry nowadays with the second and third career drivers, it is a job, but we hope that many of them will choose the lifestyle of trucking, which is the camaraderie, the love of what you do, and the passion for what you're doing, and not forget why you got involved to begin with.
And Bobby, do you have anything to add?
Well, for me, trucking was a little bit different. When getting into trucking, it was me and my husband, and we drove together. I say this so much all the time. It's just my big reference, but I always say that you're on the road and you're driving down the highway, and even though it's completely quiet and you're going down the highway, you're just in the truck by yourself, basically. Because for me, my husband is sleeping behind me while we're driving. So the road can be so loud, and it can heal so many things. It just gives you that extra space, that extra time to really just reflect on your life, think about things, and even it just is. It's very therapeutic, and I can see how people could redefine themselves, or refine themselves, I should say.
And Bobby, I want to go back to a video you shared with us. In it, you talked about walking through truck stops at night. Would you mind kind of going through that video or elaborating a little bit, and maybe giving our listeners some precautions you'd recommend if truckers are kind of feeling uneasy walking through these truck stops?
Well, some people have been trying to paint the trucking industry as a very safe way to be in your truck and be out on the road, and it is fun and it is amazing, don't get me wrong, but there is many times that you are faced with dangerous situations, and even walking through these truck parking lots, you have trucks that are by 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, you have trucks that's parked not even in parking spaces, they're parked crossways, they're creative by that time, and they're parking all different directions and making parking spaces. And then on top of that, you've got people, you don't have to say anything, they instantly assume that you're gay, and they'll get on the CB radio, or different things will happen. So I've had people that have approached me in the parking lots, and I will instantly get on my cell phone and call Ricky, which is my husband, and we will talk just the whole time. It's just a safety precaution that I do. When walking across the parking lot, I will talk to him the whole time, all the way across till I get to the station to go to the bathroom. And Shelle can elaborate on this too, but it's for women, for men. You can get hit on going on across the parking lot, and by other truckers too. It's not just it's a very dangerous spot, and so you just have to watch. You have to be aware of your surroundings. You have to be aware of, I'm always constantly looking where I'm at, making sure there's no shadows between the trucks. Like, people will even hide between the truck and the trailer itself. There's many things. You just have to watch. Just be so aware of your surroundings is the best thing you could do.
And I want to wrap things up on a high note. So what's maybe the most positive experience you guys have had when it comes to creating or joining this group? What's the most kind of positive thing you've gotten out of all of this?
I think for me, the most beneficial thing that I've gained not only is confidence in knowing that I'm trying to do right by myself and those around me and being a contribution to or an asset to the industry. But when I get what I call our Facebook stalkers, which are individuals that, due to, being still in the closet or very protective of themselves, they can't like a comment or they can't even like a page without their friends being notified and getting harassed for it. When one of them come forward and say, you know what, I've been watching your page for years and I love what you're doing. It has helped me so much. That right there is my reward. That in itself is my reward.
Well, for me, this situation actually happened to me. Besides, I'll tell you, one of the most rewarding things has been is my friendship with Shelle. Shelle and me, besides being on the page together and doing this together, our friendship has been amazing to have that friend that understands things, and we just laugh and we talk. But on top of that, that's been one of the most amazing rewarding things to me. But as far as doing the page and being a part of it, I actually had a gentleman that had been driving truck for 10 years, and he no one in his company knew, and none of his friends knew, none of his family knew, nobody knew. But he approached me probably 6 months after being on the page and had said, I see you and your husband, and I see all these great things you're doing. And just like Shelle was talking about, he said, I came out to my company and I came out to my family, and he said, it was all because of you. And that's the whole reason that we're doing anything. It's just for people to feel comfortable in their skin with who they are, and knowing that there's a place that they can talk to people and not be judged, and can find help. We can help them find whatever they need or answer questions. It may sound silly, but everybody has to start somewhere, and you may not know how to check your brakes, or you may not know how to do something on your truck. And it's not always just about being LGBT, but it is also about, we're still truckers and we have to help each other. So that's been really the most rewarding thing for me, is just to know that one person seen what we were doing and it made them feel comfortable. Like, you couldn't ask for anything better.
And last but not least, what advice would you give to LGBT truckers starting out in the industry?
Networking. Maintain your relationships with those off of the road, but build relationships with those within the trucking community. Finding a mentor that you feel comfortable with, whether it has to do just with trucking, or a mentor who is both LGBT and a driver that understands the challenges that you might be facing. Reaching out through social media. It's been so helpful in the industry with the evolution of technology, utilizing what's out there. You're not alone. There's never, I hate to say it, but there's no reason to feel alone. I mean, there's pages for everything, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Utilize the tools available. There's so much out there.
And for me, I guess my answer would be basically, don't be afraid of who you are, and be comfortable with it. And first and foremost, as an LGBT trucker, just for me, my biggest advice would just pay attention, just be cautious, and love every day. It's the best office window that you could ever have. Like, you're constantly moving and seeing all these different landscapes, and you get the chance and opportunity to see so many things across the country that you would never see. And enjoy it. Just literally enjoy it. But always remember, every day you're going to learn something new, and you're going to learn something, and it is exciting and it is fun, but it's not always. Our job goes on whether there is snow and rain and hail and wind It's not always a walk in the park. It's not easy, but it's very fun. It's very fun and very rewarding if you let it be.
All right, and once again, a big thanks to Shelle, Lichti, and Bobby Loy. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us. Again, I really hope that there's some truckers listening out there, and I hope it kind of hits home for them, and maybe we can see some definitely change within the industry coming up.
Well, I just wanted to say, as many through social media have known, the first official Pride Rat truck has been launched by LGBT truckers.
Awesome.
And anytime anybody sees this truck, come say hi. Come meet one of the many faces behind the program and know that you are family too. The main purpose of our truck is to reflect the diversity within our industry.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much again. I appreciate you taking the time to talk with us. Again, that's Shelle and Bobby from the LGBT Truckers Facebook page. All right, and once again, a big thanks to Shelle and Bobby for providing some great resources for LGBT truck drivers. And again, folks, if you like what you hear, be sure to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. And if you want to interact with us, feel free to use the hashtag BigRigBanter and follow us on Twitter and Facebook.
And that's all we have for you today, folks. So Big Rig Banter is powered by All Truck Jobs. And for more trucking resources, visit alltruckjobs.com. Happy 4th of July.
Once again, I'm your co-host, Troy Diffenderfer.
And I'm your favorite co-host, Lenay Rule.
And this has been Big Rig Banter.
Thanks for tuning in to another edition of Big Rig Banter. For your next job, check out alltruckjobs.com, the premier online source for finding the best driver jobs in the country. Browse hundreds of positions by freight or driver type to get back on the road with confidence. Click subscribe to keep the conversations coming. Until next time on Big Rig Banter.